Dear students, I am Dr. Sanjay Kaushik and we will be discussing an important unit in biology of class 11th, which is tissue. Tissues can be found in both plants and animals, but today we will be discussing only animal tissue. Tissue, as you know, is a group of similar cells performing similar function. Animal tissues are of four types, namely connective tissue, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. First of all, we'll discuss connective tissue is the most widespread tissue in our body. If we classify the connective tissue, it can be divided into three types. A. Liquid connective tissue, which includes blood and lymph. B. Hard connective tissue, which includes bone and cartilage. And connective tissue proper, which includes adipose tissue, fibrous tissue, and areolar tissue. Starting with liquid connective tissue. The first liquid connective tissue is blood. So today we'll discuss the first liquid connective tissue, which is blood. Blood constitutes about 8%. So the first question that you can get in your entrance exam is how much blood a normal person has. So the correct answer will be blood constitutes 8% of the body. You can also get this question in another way, that a healthy adult person weighing about 70 kg will contain about 5.5 liters of blood in his body. So that comes out to be 8%, roughly 8%. So you can get the answer in terms of percentage, or the question in terms of percentage, or in terms of numerical value. If you get the question in terms of percentage, it will be 8% of the body weight. If you get it in numerical value, it will be 5.5 liters in a healthy average person. Blood contains two parts, a liquid part which is called plasma and blood cells. Plasma from the above equation will be equal to blood minus blood cells. Plasma is a pale yellow or straw colored liquid, and it constitutes 55% of the total blood. If we see the composition of plasma, it contains 90% water and the rest 10% includes organic and inorganic substances. The organic substances in the plasma are: number one, glucose. The glucose level in the blood is, or plasma is, 80 to 120 milligram per 100 ml of blood. If the concentration of glucose increases to beyond this value, this condition is called, if the concentration increases, condition is called hyperglycemia. And if this condition persists for a long period of time, person is called diabetic, and the disease is called diabetes mellitus. If the amount of glucose decreases to below 80 milligram per 100 ml, condition is called hypoglycemia. As the glucose level in the blood falls, the amount of glucose which is supplied to the brain also decreases, and person may go into shock, which is called hypoglycemic shock. The second organic substance in the blood is plasma proteins. If we see the type of plasma proteins, we have albumin, whose function is osmoregulation, globulin, which helps in defense of the body by forming proteins which are called immunoglobulins. Third is prothrombin, and fourth is fibrinogen. Both these proteins help in blood clotting. The third constituent in the plasma is bilirubin. Bilirubin amount is 0.2 to 0.9 milligram per 100 ml of blood. Bilirubin is a secretion from liver. If the amount of bilirubin increases to beyond 1 milligram per 100 ml, person develops yellowish discoloration of the skin and other body organs, as bilirubin is a yellow colored pigment. This condition is called jaundice. The fourth component of the plasma is cholesterol. Cholesterol level should never exceed beyond 200 milligram per 100 ml of blood. If this level exceeds beyond 200 milligram per 100 ml, there are chances that cholesterol will be deposited in the arteries, and if it is deposited in the arteries which are supplying heart, it can lead to narrowing of the arteries, leading to decreased blood supply and oxygen supply to the heart, which results in pain in the heart and ultimately can result in heart attack. These were some of the organic components present in plasma. There are some inorganic components in the plasma also. Some of the inorganic components are sodium, potassium. Both these components are required for transmission of impulse. Calcium, as you know, is required for muscle contraction, growth of the bones, and blood clotting. Iron, which is required for formation of hemoglobin. Iodine, which is required for formation of thyroxine. Sodium and potassium are required for conduction of impulse. Calcium is required for muscle contraction, blood clotting, and development of bone. Iron is required for formation of hemoglobin, and iodine is required for formation of thyroxine. So these were some of the inorganic components present in plasma. Of course, there is magnesium, chlorine, hydrogen ions are also present, but these are the important ones. Coming to blood cells, there are three types of blood cells, namely RBC, WBC, and platelets. If we talk about these individual blood cells, we'll start with RBC, red blood corpuscles, also called erythrocytes. Each type of blood cell, whether it is RBC, WBC, or platelets, develops in bone marrow, which is a cavity present in long bones of the body. The number of RBCs differ in males and females. In females, the number is around 4.5 million per millimeter cube, whereas in males, it is around 5.5 million per millimeter cube. Talking about shape, RBC is a biconcave structure. This shape offers two advantages. Number one, because of this shape, large amount of hemoglobin can be accommodated. And the second question which you can get over this is, because of this shape, RBCs can easily pass through very narrow capillaries or very narrow vessels. An average size of the RBC is around 7.5 microns. The smallest RBCs are found in musk deer. It is an endangered species now. And the largest RBCs are found in salamander. Musk deer has an RBC of around 2.5 microns and salamander has around 30 microns in size. In some persons, particularly in Africans, shape of the RBC changes, can now become sickle shaped. This is a genetic adaptation in Africans which provides them protection against malaria. RBCs contain a respiratory pigment which is called hemoglobin. RBCs contain a respiratory pigment which is called hemoglobin. The amount of hemoglobin in a person should be 14 to 16 grams per 100 ml of blood. If the amount decreases to below 10 grams per 100 ml, person is said to be suffering from anemia. Hemoglobin itself is a purple colored pigment, but when it combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin, then it becomes a bright red colored pigment. Hemoglobin, therefore, is the oxygen carrying pigment in our body. In some children, a genetic disorder, thalassemia, develops, in which the hemoglobin chains are not synthesized completely. Therefore, these children require regular blood transfusion. Coming back to RBC, Another question which you get is lifespan of RBC. It is 120 days. After 120 days, RBCs are taken to spleen. In the spleen, RBCs are destroyed and buried. Therefore, you can get a question which was there in AIPMT mains 2012, that the graveyard of RBC is, and answer will be spleen. At the time of origin, RBCs contain nucleus and all other cell organelles, cell structures. But all these structures are lost during maturation. Therefore, a fully matured RBC do not contain nucleus. So this is important. A fully matured RBC. If you get a question, an immature RBC contains nucleus or not, the answer will be it contains nucleus. But a fully matured RBC do not contain nucleus and other cell organelles. You can get a question on this. Why RBCs do not contain nucleus? The answer to this question will be to provide large surface area to accommodate large amount of hemoglobin. Another question on RBC can be that sometimes RBCs piles up like a stack of coin. Question will be, what is this piling up of RBC called? And the answer will be, it is called Rayleigh formation.